Television. Thanks for joining us once more on this, your favorite program, Game of Thrones on Info TV. Today is going to be hot as two major interesting topics will be of interest this very evening. Tonight, it is no news that recently we saw how two major statements were being released from the Kundingi Central Prison, or were released from detention in Cameroon. There are no other persons than Ondongdong and also Belinga Roger. Of course, they were being released from detention after serving 20 years in imprisonment. Of course, the question I'll be asking our panelists this very evening was, of course, justice served or delayed. Apart from that, we'll be talking also about President Paul Biya state reforms, which, of course, he promised that in one of his traditional address to Cameroonians, he promised that there's going to be state reforms. And Cameroonians are asking, is the post of a vice president a strategic necessity to Cameroonians? Of course, we saw lastly the post of a vice president when the Republic of Cameroon, or the country, had a federated republic, and we had John Gufonta, who had to be the first vice president, and after that there has been not the position of a vice president. So Cameroonians are asking, is this position actually really important in the course of the administration in the country? Of course, we have panelists who are well vested with these various topics, and of course they are ready to dish out what you are expecting of them in the course of Game of Thrones tonight. And of course, with me, I have with us a lady. She is a project manager. She is no other person than Carol Backup. Good evening and welcome once more to the program.
Thank you, Phil. Good evening. Good evening to Dr. Bob. Good evening to all the viewers. It's a pleasure to be here, and I believe that this program will be one of those that will put Cameroonians on their very seat to address the situation coldly and, of course, expecting solutions.
Yeah, of course, Cameroonians are expecting solutions, and we are right here to dish out what we know, and the panelists are out there also to give to you what you are expecting of them, and also dish out what we have as information relating to these two major topics. And of course, we do have also Dr. Moise Mbok, who happens to be a politician and also a political communication strategist. Good evening and welcome once more to the program.
Good evening, Phil. Good evening, Carol. Good evening to all our televiewers and the top management of Info Television. It's always a pleasure to be part of this program, and we believe today, again, by God's grace, we have to share different things when it comes to the nation. The nation is a serious thing. We are talking about serious issues, the released prisoners and the reforms that the head of state have announced. Let's see what will happen.
Of course, let's see what is going to happen. That is what is coming from a politician and also a political communication strategist, somebody who actually knows the inside and the outside of the government of Cameroon. So just stay glued to your TV set, because much will be released to you tonight as the program unfolds today. Of course, we have other two panelists that will be joining us by the special grace of God in this program, in the course of this program. But before divert to what we do have for you this very evening as content and menu, let's do have this transition, and we'll be back in a jiffy. Of course, recently, in the month of February 2026, we saw how Ondongdong was being released, and alongside his collaborator also happens to be Roger Belinga. It is no news that Ondongdong was the former director of FECOM in Cameroon, and also Roger Belinga happens to be the managing director back then in the late 2005-2006. Of course, he happens to be the managing director of the Cameroon Housing Corporation. It is no news that recently they were being released after serving 20 years in detention. And of course, Cameroonians are asking, was this release of course of great importance to Cameroonians? Was actually the money that were being charged? Of course, they had charges that were being leveled against them. One of them was embezzlement, as it was of course a major problem during that period, as the government had to introduce Operation Sparrowhawk in the country to wipe or to crack down people who are being accused of embezzlement in the country. And of course, I'll commence with you, Carol Backup. You happens to be a project manager, and it is no news that recently we saw how these two major political figures that were being, of course, arrested in 2006, and today makes 20 years, 2026, that they are being released from detention, serving 20 years imprisonment terms. Now they are out of the prison. What actually do you think that Cameroonian government or the people of Cameroon actually, how do they perceive this release of these two major political figures that were being considered back there in 2026 as major CPDM militants?
Okay, thank you for the question. Before answering this question, I want to remind us that we are talking about the life of a nation. We are talking about the survival, because we are at this level. Cameroon is surviving. We are not yet living. And it's quite a pity, because some people that claims to be patriots, to be son of the nation, are jeopardizing or joking with our lives. 20 years imprisonment, we think is quite enough to wipe away all the catastrophe, all the pains, the situation these two men caused. No, it's not just enough. You see, every state is governed by laws. We have laws in Cameroon, and the first law, the first article 1 of the Penal Code says that everybody sticks to laws. Nobody is above laws, even the head of state. Meaning, it's the nation that is above everybody. But to be candid, we have the Penal Code. Cameroonians are very intellectuals, very intelligent. They write good things, but to submit to it is a whole problem. That's the first thing we need to solve in this nation. We need to be humble enough to accept, to submit ourselves to whatever we sat down with our clear minds, we wrote down, we should be able to submit under it. Law is not for the underlooked people. Law is not for those who do not have money or anybody to protect them. Law is to tell any Cameroonian that we are one under the country, under the nation. Okay. Article 184 says that whoever embezzles 500,000 francs CFA is life in prison. So I wonder how, 20 years later, though even if it's lying in prison, it will not solve the problem, because the embezzlement is quite huge. They told us it was 36 billion. We're not there. So they are the one that said it's 36 million. We don't know if it's the 36 billion, that the guy took only on Dondon.
So are you questioning the allegations?
Yeah, I question it.
Why
as far as this nation is concerned, because you said, first of all, that it's a CPDM, it was a CPDM member that stole the money.
Cameroonians are aware of that. It is no news.
That's what I'm saying. So we were not there.
He was charged for embezzlement
of 36,
not theft.
But it was 36 billion embezzlement. That's what they wrote.
It was even more.
That's what I'm saying.
Brought it down.
They wrote it 36 billion, but it was more than that.
Yeah.
We all know that in this nation, if they tell there is 10 people that die, just put the 0 behind the 10. Because they don't give us clear results or clear facts. They said 36 billion, okay, let's go to it. But there's another law that says in the special criminal court that when you reimburse all the money, you can be released. Do we have the proof that he gave all the money before to release? We don't have the proof.
But that was a jail sentence that was being issued to him.
Yeah.
And of course, at the termination of your jail sentence, you ought to leave.
You're not getting what I'm saying.
The
sentence they gave him did not respect the law. First of all, he was supposed to be life imprisonment. They gave him 20 years. Okay, after the 20 years he was released. Where is the money? Because normally before release, he must give all the money he embezzled. Do we have the facts? Do we have any notes? We have CONAC to arrest the embezzlers. Do we have another commission to receive the money? Or is the TCS or the Special Criminal Court that is doing it? We don't have anything, so we know he's released.
So are you telling us that his release is suspicious?
Very suspicious.
Why? Because
we have no proofs. If they arrest somebody and they tell Cameroon, we have arrested X person because of this, the day they release him, they should tell us why they release him. They should not just impose us a release. Except I'm mistaken.
Thank you very much, Carol and backup project manager, for such an elaboration. Of course, we do have also with us Chidi Done, who happens to be SDF communicator. It is no news that you're welcome actually to the program. Of course, you are just coming a few minutes after the program has already begun. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, my brother. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to our televiewers, to the great family of the Social Democratic Front. Good evening.
Thank you very much. I'll come back to you in a jiffy. I'll get to you, Dr. Moise Mbok, who happens to be a political strategist. You're also a politician. We just saw recently how these two gigantic figures back then in 2026 or 2006 rather, they were being considered as one of those top figures in Cameroon politics and when it concerns management in the country. And during the introduction of Operation Sparrowhawk in the country, we saw how this machine that is out there to cast out all those who are being suspected of embezzlement or misappropriation of public funds. Of course, these two categories of people were under these or were subjected to some of the demands of the Operation Sparrowhawk, and today they are released. Do we see any change?
I don't know if the change is what they are following. Maybe they're following something else, but the change, I don't know. I agree with Carol in the first place. Communication is part of respect. When you communicate, you respect the people you are leading. When you communicate, you show transparency. When you communicate, you show justice. But when you don't communicate, you create confusion. You create suspicion. And this operation, as I call it in French, épervier, is suspicious from the beginning. Because the way they are arresting people, we have no information. They don't decide to arrest Kuna, to arrest Ondondon, to arrest. We can name them. Many of them are still in.
But
some are out.
Doctor, they were being taken to court, and was justice actually served?
There's another domain, and when it comes to justice, we cannot just speculate. We take what they are saying, and what they are saying is still. We can question what they are saying, but we cannot decide on what they are saying. And what we say as Cameroonians is that when it comes to serious issues like that one, I want to remind something. Embezzlement is terrorism. It's another way of killing people. Because when you take people's money, Dr. Moise
Mbok, according to our Cameroonian law, we have a count charge, which of course is embezzlement. We have a count charge that is misappropriation of public funds. We have a count charge that is terrorism. Now, when you quote the both as embezzlement, terrorism, what information are you trying to release to Cameroonians?
That we must take this thing very serious. Yeah. And Carol said it. We have to take this thing. It's not a joke. When I'm seeing them coming out and they're taking pictures and they are showing themselves, I'm just like, are these people serious? They should be ashamed. They should hide themselves. They are thieves. There's no other words. They are thieves.
They're criminals.
And they're criminals, because when you embezzle this kind of amount, even if it's 1 billion, what can 1 billion do to a village, to a family, to a group of villages? But they're talking about 36 billion. So let's take that figure. Let's take the 36.
So you are not too satisfied with the figure. You believe that this figure actually was still a bit skeptical. You are still skeptical about the 36 billion francs here?
The problem is elsewhere. Why are we not controlling our resources? How can a general manager last in a post more than the time is supposed to be there? Now it's 9 years. But you see them spend 20 years, 35 years. And you want to behave as if you are surprised that they stole money or they misuse the money. Where is the control? Where is the control? You are supposed to have control each 3 months. What happened? There is a board leading, for instance, a company like FECOM. In ministries, there are general inspectors that are controlling embezzlement and all those things. They are not doing their work, because in ministries, the minister is God in the place. No one can control him. No one can verify what he's doing. And this is Cameroonian behaviors. We have to stop. So the problem is not only the embezzlement, but the way our riches, the way our country is led. That's where we are going. Now, those people that the ones they are arrested. What about others? So you want to tell me?
What others are you talking about?
But those that show, we have proof of some of them that they took money, but they're still out because they say, okay, we are still doing more research, investigations. But look, those ones that they arrested, see the way they did it. It was to humiliate them. It was not only to arrest them, because some of them they sold their mattresses, they sold their chairs, they sold the things of the house that are supposed to sell on public just to show that we are taking back the money, but they are not giving us the real figure of the amount they took. So the problem is very difficult for us, because the way they are doing, we are wondering, is the government will continue to behave like this? Are they understanding that some Cameroonians are really devastated? They are really shocked about what is happening. And we are talking about this kind of figures. We see our roads, we see our, our country. We are just like, so this country has this kind of money, and we are not doing what we are supposed to do. So our problems are various, and we are not seeing the communication following the explanation and showing that, okay, we are going somewhere. This is our problem. So after 20 years, we still have embezzlement. We still have funny problems. We are not respecting the law. Article 66 says we have to declare our wealth, our asset before starting a process. They are not doing that. And on which base you will come and control what I have after 10 years on the spot? So we want to.
But doctor, one of the major conditions were that when they were in detention or when they were being sentenced to jail, the 20 years term, was that they were supposed to release a part of or release the money. There was some amount of money that was being dedicated or was being asked of them to release. Do you think that that money was actually given or placed at the National Treasury?
That's another question. And you have to be there to see if there's the money went there or not. But for me, they were sentenced, Mr. Bellinger was sentenced to 25 years. And he spent the 25 years. Ondondong spent the 20 years. Because the figures I remember for Ondondong was something like 60 billion in the beginning. Billion. It was that something like the beginning. And so they argue, they bargain, they explain, and they brought it down to 35. Okay, we don't know what happened, but they're talking about 8 billion or something like, but not more than 10 billion that are recovered. Are they going to continue to recover the money? Is it balanced by the 20 years? We are asking the question. But when we are in a country where leaders are supposed to explain what is happening, but they allow people to come in TV station like this and start to ask questions, it's not normal. And this is something we are asking from the very beginning. They have to explain to Cameroonians what is going on, what is the problem, and we still continue to react instead of taking measures before a situation. After 20 years, what have changed? I want to remind you, CONAC cannot arrest anyone. CONAC will just notice that, okay, you did this, you did that, and they send to the presidency. And from the presidency, the president will decide whether they charge you or not. And when they charge you, they will send it again to the justice, and they have to investigate. And if we just look at the account in banks and see how money is moving and try to have explanations, and they will give a report. Consupe, you have heard that Consupe did what to who in this country, but there are things happening. So for me, I'm just that they're creating all these things to distract us or to really work on solutions. If they are serious on working on solutions, the way they're doing it is not okay. They have to change it. If it's a way to just distract us, look, we are waiting for the shufflemen. They're not honest enough to tell us that wait after the plenary, National Assembly. They should tell us. They're not telling us. Now they are bringing these guys out to try to cover the, the society with other news to distract Cameroonians instead of going straight to the point and talk to Cameroonians seriously. What we want in this country is not, as they call in French, saupoudrage. We want something serious. What we are doing, we can explain if we are sincere. If you are not sincere, we will play games.
Thank you very much. If we are not sincere, we'll play games. Dr. Moise Mbong. Of course, I'll come to you, Achi Jedone. You happens to be a communicator with the SDF political party in Cameroon, opposition, of course. And it is no news that back in 2006, your party, of course, was highly behind this issue of embezzlement. Their party wasn't satisfied with some of the actions of certain state officials in relation to the keeping of money. And of course, there were information that actually circulated that the money that was being embezzled back then was almost more than the budget of the Ministry of Public Health. Today, we are seeing these are two individuals out of prison. Now, do you think that the Cameroonian society is satisfied just seeing them outside without any tangible result or visible that can actually justify their outings and also improve their living conditions with the money that was being taken away from their side?
Logically, they cannot be satisfied. The Cameroonian people cannot be satisfied. Before I elaborate more on that, since you are recalling the role of the Social Democratic Front, I want to take you back memory lane from where we are coming to what we call Operation Sparrowhawk today. As shortly after the birth of the SDF on the 26th of May 1990, under the leadership of the late chairman John Frundi, the SDF started struggling for a sovereign national conference that was to reset the foundation of this country. We struggled for that sovereign national conference and ended up achieving a tripartite. The tripartite conference for November 1991. This tripartite conference, far from meeting the aspirations of the people, however, brought up some points that were interesting. A commission was put in place for the revision of the Constitution led by late Joseph Owona. And that commission actually worked under very unclear circumstances, but it led to the 1996 Constitution. In that Constitution, there were two aspects that were very important. You had the limitation of presidential mandates, which was taken off without application in 2008. And then you had Section 66 of that Constitution on the declaration of assets. 10 years after, Cameroonians awaited that the Section 66 should be applied. 10 years after, in 2006, a law was put in place, the 2006 law on the declaration of assets, which ended in a suspense, saying that the President of the Republic will, when he deems necessary, take a decree to make that law effectively applicable. That is in 2006. And then it coincided with this stuff that you call Operation Sparrowhawk. Apparently, since 2006 till now, President Paul Biya has not seen the necessity for Section 66 of the Constitution to be effectively applied. He has not seen the necessity to be transparent to Cameroonians, because that section is the only section that obliges him as the #1 servant of the Cameroonian people to declare his assets. And this issue of declaration of assets was going to facilitate a lot of things. It was going to introduce sanity in governance, to make sure that the person who is coming into office will first of all justify of what he has, so that you don't bring doubtful people with doubtful means into office, because once your means is already doubtful, you cannot have access to office. Now, when you declare your assets, by the time you are going out of office, you still have to make another declaration, and investigations will go on to find out whether these things that you now have are actually your things. And the state will give itself the means to make sure that at any time you cannot justify of what you have, that thing is taken and given back to the state.
Straight away.
This is the strength of Article 66. Since then till now, it has not been applied. That is why I call what you call Operation Sparrowhawk a witch hunt operation. It is a witch hunt operation. It's a political operation to settle scores. It's a political operation to settle scores, because some of those that could have been victims of this Sparrowhawk are the very ones that are telling the Sparrowhawk who to catch and who not to catch.
Exactly.
who declared President Paul Biya a saint, who is beyond control. If the fight against corruption in this country was holistic, institutional, in such a way they know that if it is you, Mr. NG, who is the president of the institution that is fighting against corruption, the president of the republic submits to you.
So now, are you telling Cameroonians that President Paul Biya is rich enough to be investigated?
No. Did they state being rich as a criteria to be investigated? Anybody who is entrusted, and the 2006 law went ahead and spelled out the categories of persons, starting with the president of the republic,
Exactly.
including parliamentarians. I have to mention this, including parliamentarians, because President Paul Biya is being accompanied by parliamentarians to promote bad governance in this country, including parliamentarians who are supposed to make sure that the laws are applied. A lot of them are silent about it, particularly parliamentarians of the CPDM. They don't want it to be applied because even they themselves, MPs, that are supposed to make sure that they control government action, somewhere, somehow, they have their hands tied. All of them are supposed to declare their assets. People who have been entrusted with the management of public funds, starting with the president of the republic, who is not the lord over Cameroon, but the #1 servant of the Cameroonian people.
But 20 years after, these people today, they are out. Don't you think their freedom ought not to be tampered with?
Their freedom in what sense?
Now, they are out after 20 years, serving, of course, pending or maybe crimes that were being committed by them. We talk about embezzlement today. They are out today. I will see how they are out there praising God for their for being out of 20 years in detention. And don't you think that there is actually a lot that needs to be done rather than taking people or sending people into prison and bringing people out? Do you think that actually the rule of law actually was followed, or the necessary procedure was followed to make sure that those who are being incarcerated and they are out today, what were being expected of them is actually visible to Cameroonians?
It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate when you look at the images of what transpired. I do understand the legitimate happiness of family members of seeing one of theirs, but the publicity around the whole issue and the nature, the demeanor of the people concerned, I felt very sorry for Cameroon. You don't imagine, you don't know what they call corruption. This embezzlement. 1 billion is 1 million 1,000 times. 1 billion is 1 million 1,000 times. Why do people take the heart? Why do people take the heart to steal from the country like that? To steal from the poor people? These people have caused the death of so many because of health centers that have not been there.
That's what I'm saying.
They have caused the death of so many because of roads that have not been constructed.
Exactly.
They have caused the death of so many because their youth lack jobs. Even what is going on in the Northwest and Southwest today is part of the frustration of bad governance, and these people are also accountable for that. So you see them, they are happy. So you're asking me, I come back to your question.
Yeah.
What do we need to do? Your question is simply summarized. What do we need to do? The first thing is that the fight against embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds is supposed to be holistic.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be involved. Starting from the president of the republic, everybody has to be involved. There should be nobody who is above control. The second thing is that the fight against embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds should be in such a way, it should respect the criteria of the law. The law governing this fight should be in such a way as to deter people from even thinking. That means when you see public money, you'll be running away because of what the kind of punishment you see that you will have. But
that's not democracy. That's the
let me continue, please. The law, one of the importance of the law is to deter people from committing crimes.
Exactly.
To prevent people from committing crimes.
Yeah.
That is one of the fundamental role of the law. Now, look at what the present dispensation is. They tell you, if you steal 50 million and above, first of all, they take you to a special criminal court. It's special for you.
Why special?
And then now, when they finish judging you, they tell you, if you reimburse the money, you're free. You are reimbursing the money. Somebody who stole a small Android phone in the quarter cannot reimburse the phone and come out. But you who stole from us, the poor masses, you who caused a lot of people to die, no, you just have to reimburse and come out because they are respecting you. You are a big thief. So you reimburse and you come out. Now, they tell you that you reimburse the exact money. You know that when you stole 1 billion 5 years ago, you want to invest in your business. By the time we were investing in your business, we were suffering. We were making your interest. When they are asking you to give 1 billion, they are asking you to go and get some chicken change from your investment and come and give us when you have made your billions outside. Did they tell you that we had to? Did they tell them that we had to be there and let them be making their billions and then later on without begging them to pay?
They were being charged to pay a cost of proceedings.
That is cost of proceedings is how much compared to what they have stolen and what they have the pains they have cost us. What is cost of proceedings? And then now,
is the cost.
See, let me give you another measure. The higher you go in the ladder of society, the more you are supposed to be responsible, more ethical in your behavior. But people, the law as it is now seems to be promoting stealing. People feel that when you just want to steal, since you know that you can reimburse the money and come out, when you want to steal well. So that by the time they catch you, you must have made a lot of money and you reimburse what they are telling you about and you come out. It's a promotion of stealing. We should find a dispensation. I was discussing with some senior men the other day. We should find a dispensation, Mr. Enchi, that, you know, I grew up in Bamenda when we used to have the then Bamenda government delegate. We used to take inmates to go around and walk in town. We should find a dispensation where you are moving along the street Sunday and you see a former minister with a jersey behind him, written minister of this. Working with Isaac.
Yeah.
Let them work like that. Anyway, we need manual labor. Let them go and work because that is how they are suffering us. The pain that they are putting on Cameroonian people, they cannot imagine it. And when you make people go through that kind of punishment, many people who will have access to office will have a certain level of moral probity. They will not be able to they will not even think of indulging in that. But look, they live very flamboyantly. I'm told that even in prison there are VIP quarters. They live a VIP life better than you who is outside here. The only thing you have more than them is that you move about more freely than them. And then I hear that some of them even come out. And when they come out is for high level enjoyment that you will spend the whole year without having. And then put it that are fighting corruption, embezzlement and misappropriation of.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Atijilone, for such an elaboration. I'll come to you, Carol, and back up. Was this a release actually a political strategy?
Before I will answer the question, maybe the viewers did not get exactly the problem here. The problem is not the money those guys took. The problem is not the 20 years they spent in prison. What we have as problem is the cost, the catastrophe, the cost taking that money where it was supposed to be. I will travel to the far north. Can you imagine? The hospitals, you have no scanner. No scanner in the hospital. No one. So if you want to make a scan, you travel to come down here. Can you imagine?
Come to where? To Yaoundé?
To Yaoundé.
So you move from the north to Yaoundé to
when you want to go to the western region, the same thing happened. It was in front of me where a lady came for transfusion. There was no tools to transfuse the lady. They sent her back to Bafoussam. For Bafoussam, they say it's not possible. She need to go back to Yaoundé. Can you imagine? Somebody has 36 billion. How many women die because they're no good condition to receive their babies? How many children die on the spot because there were no possibilities to receive them? That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about 36 billion or talking about 20 years imprisonment. For me, they shouldn't even go to prison because they don't serve us there. They're still taking from us because who is feeding them there? We are still feeding them. Upon the money they stole from us, we are feeding them. They should be released. Once they're giving us the money plus interest, they should go on hard labor. That's what they do to thieves. Our young guys and young girls, when you go to the court, you will see young girls prison because they say she stole spaghetti or rice or a phone because they're in need. Somebody is stealing the dignity of a nation. He's released until they are parading him at the presidency hall. I was shocked when I saw Atana Kuna seated at the presidency.
I'm telling you,
taking pictures with our director of civil affairs, plus civil cabinet, plus another. Come on, don't insult us, Enchi. That's what we are talking about. He was supposed to hide himself. They were only supposed to bring in the whole way the life of Cameroonians are buried. The presidency is our umbilical cord. It's not the house of somebody. Somebody is stealing that amount of money They still come with suit and parading, good smiles, and they are clapping. And you're telling me that it's justice, it's not justice. It's politics.
In one of his interviews, he said it wasn't easy for him back there in the prison, and he gave thanks to God for coming out.
Easy for what?
Meaning that he had, of course, witnessed the pain.
When he gets sick, he goes to the hospital. How many of prisoners get sick, they go to hospitals? Easy about what? If he wants to eat, he eats the best meal. What are you talking about? The only thing they don't have is what he said, freedom to move, and that is in quotes. Because we don't know. We are not there to see how they are living there. Sometimes some of them go to their houses in the night, they transfer them there. Just to show us that no, please. This matter is as serious as crime. They are criminals, capital letters. And I plead the head of state to put our law, because God, when God made the earth, God did not keep quiet. He gave a law, and he told Adam, if you disobey, I will kill you. God. Then we have laws, people disobey law to our own faces, and they parade. Their family members are happy that they have released their husband, their friends, their father. But how many people die because of them? We should get to a level where if it's your father that steals, you tell your father you stole, you must pay. No friendship, because it's not a matter of family, it's a matter of a nation. So
are you telling Cameroonians that there must be a moral rearmament towards this direction?
Exactly. Starting from the root cause, the family. A wife should be able to tell her husband that you don't joke with the life of a nation. If a child should be able to tell the father, look at what happened with the daughter of Trump. The first time Trump came into power, she was going around taking care of underprivileged people. She could stay in her house and eat money. How many of our ministers' sons, the head of state sons' children go around and clean the messes their family put? How many of them? They are bodyguards, they are protected, they do whatever they want, they are ready to come back in this nation, and it's the high state that serves them as bodyguards. It's to tell us that it is not a matter of nation, it's their thing. But people die behind it. How many children sleep without eating, Henry? How many? And they are the one having guns out there. Where is drug passing to enter this nation? Where? With all the control we have, how do we have cocaine in Cameroon? How do we have drugs in Cameroon? Look at the way the thing is killing our youth. Where is passing? It's because of corruption. Because somebody knows that if he enters the drugs, he will serve the interest of a highly privileged somebody. And if you catch him, they will release him. Corruption is not only taking money, it's a rampant plague that we need to destroy very fast.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Carol.
So to say it's politics, even an understatement, it's witchcraft.
Thank you very much, Carol Ombako, for such an elaboration. I'll come to you, Dr. Moise Mbok. It is no news that Operation Sparrow, of course, made its name back in 2006. And of course, does this particular unit still exist and performing the of course what it is supposed to do to make sure that issue of misappropriation, embezzlement, and all the moral decadence within the administration of Cameroon can be wiped away? Does it actually exist to play that role, or it is just a toothless bulldog?
It was supposed to play that role. Let me take you to other examples you're not talking about. If Michel Fosso was in prison, is out of the country, the Prime Minister in only frame, the same thing, and they say it's for their health, sanitary evacuation. Perfect. Can you benefit from that? No.
But that's human rights, Dr. Moise Mbok. They are respecting human rights.
It means that if a common Cameroonian
there are some people that
have a problem,
they should evacuate him.
Exactly.
You will use human rights to transfer him abroad. Let's be serious. You know,
come on.
we are talking here about serious issues, and when we are talking like this, there are some people watching at us because the TV is there, but there's no food on their table. They're watching at us, so everything we are saying, they judge us. They want to make sure we understand what they're going through. We are talking about this operation that they have announced, like Cameroon was the first top rank in the world in corruption. We were the best, and they sold us hope, and they said, okay, we will make sure to arrest this thing, and we work hard to stop this confusion. But what we have on the table today is that there's no account, no informations, and we see that the treatment, they still have their privileges. Cameroun says it all. They still have their privileges.
But each and every Cameroonian back in the prison do have these same privileges.
Are you sure of what you're saying?
Not at all.
Come on.
Not at all.
What you keep saying,
I want to remind you that in some prisons there are TV stations and they can watch what we are saying.
In some prisons?
Don't ever say that they had the same privileges.
No.
Don't say it.
So what are the distinctions back there? And what are the measures for this distinction?
The first thing is that when you have money, you have the VIP prisons, you can pay. Okay, if you have money, you can pay. But these people that are terrorists, I will say it until Jesus comes back, they are terrorists, and they arrest them and they allow them into VIP's prisons. It shows that themselves are not serious.
But they were top state officials.
And?
They are terrorists.
To steal, right?
I said they are terrorists. And a terrorist is a terrorist. Whether it's a top or non-stop, a terrorist is a terrorist. And they must be treated as one. And you said it, I agree with you. In French, they call it travaux d'intérêt général. They must clean their roads, our roads. They must work for us. Because they took this money and they are not giving it back. They will not give it back. Because in the course of the process, they can give many reasons.
So you're telling Cameroonians that the 20-year sentence isn't enough?
We should not even get to that point where somebody can steal this kind of amount and we are not aware. How can it be possible? In those days, it was in the law, 500,000. You are sentenced for death.
Yeah.
And it's still on our law.
It's still in our law.
I said 500,000 because they were controlled. What we are doing here is to remind our governance that there are a lot of holes. Willingly or unwillingly, we don't know. But apparently, we cannot be talking about something 20 years after, and nothing is done, and we behave as if maybe we are the problems. They are the problems, because they are the ones that are supposed to follow and apply the laws. The Article 66, after 10 years, we are still talking about it as if it's something that is not, that much important. Okay, let's go back to prisons. For me, a prisoner is somebody that must understand why he's in prison and work hard to change.
Dr. Moise, you need to understand that back there in the prison, there are people who are still undergoing preliminary investigation, while there are others who have been convicted. What category are you talking about?
All of them. All of them. As soon as you are arrested, it means that there is a mistake somewhere on your side or on their side. But you must be sure that you are reflecting in such a way that you are more conscious, you are more aware, and you don't joke with, Yes. You cannot just be arrested and say, okay, j'ai raison, je n'ai rien fait. On va prouver que je n'ai rien fait. Fine, but you are not serious. Because what is happening to you, because somehow along the line, whether it's politics, and you were not right, and they arrested you because of politics, it's still a problem. Or you did a mistake, and then you prove that it was a mistake, but it's still a mistake, and you are arrested. So you must think well. You must think twice. We should not celebrate these people as if they did something wonderful, something marvelous, and we must give them a particular status. No, they are terrorists. Because they are terrorists, we have to remind Cameroonians that what they have in their mind is exactly what we are saying. They are terrorists. We don't have roads today. We blame Mr. Biya. We blame the regime. We blame our mayors, our MPs, and so on. They are part of the problem. Because of that money they took, they are part of the problem.
Exactly.
We're talking about our hospitals. They are part of the problem. We're talking about electricity problem. They are part of the problem.
Portable water.
So, portable water. So what we're talking about, if you try to take only 10 of them and you summarize the amount, my friend, you collapse.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moisa. But I'll come to you, Chijidone. Actually, does this release of the 20 years old, these are two individuals, of course, reflects the rigorous nature of Cameroonian justice?
No, it is not rigorous. There is nothing that is rigorous about the justice system. And since you are talking particularly about this case, I'll just summarize what I said when I said it was a witch hunt operation. And so you cannot link a witch hunt operation to rigor.
No, Chijidone, an investigation was being carried out. And at the end of the day, they were charged for embezzlement. And they served 20 years. Is this not a sign that the judicial system of Cameroon is powerful to overcome things that some Cameroonians think that the system cannot handle?
I'm saying this, the judicial system can do that, but I'm saying that in the present dispensation, it is a witch hunt operation, and in a witch hunt operation, you cannot talk about rigor, because a witch hunt operation is an operation that is intended not to achieve the objectives you and I are thinking about: sanity in the management of public affairs, transparency, making sure that they develop the country with the resources, making sure that the country is managed equitably and let everybody enjoy. That is not the objective of a witch hunt operation. And for that to be achieved, the fight against embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds is supposed to be holistic. And I've demonstrated to you that it is not holistic. It's not holistic. I asked you the question: who declared President Paul Biya a saint, for example? Who is controlling President Paul Biya's own management? Because that's where the problem even begins. It starts from the top. When people feel that a minister is all powerful, above the minister, President Paul Biya is the who is all powerful. In fact, everybody has his own small kingdom, where in that kingdom he is the overall powerful, and people think that nothing can be done to him. It's a big problem. So at that point, you cannot talk about rigor. It is a witch hunt. And I want to demonstrate why it's a witch hunt. When it is the President of the Republic who decides who is tried and who is not to be tried. On what basis is he deciding who is tried and who is not supposed to be tried?
Chijidone, the court, the legal, the various courts are, of course, operating in Cameroon freely. And it is no news that if you go back there in the southwest region, it is not President Paul Biya that will condemn somebody for theft. So if you keep saying that it is President Paul Biya who actually send them to jail, don't you think that's misinformation?
Let's stay within the context of Operation Sparrowhawk. There are institutions that are meant to fight embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds in this country. You have the Supreme State Audit. You have the Financial Investigation Agency. You have CONAC. All these institutions limit themselves to produce reports.
Exactly.
And these reports are destined for the presidency.
Yeah.
And you know who is the boss of the presidency? It is the President of the Republic. It is from there that they decide who is to be taken, who is to be tried, and who is not supposed to be tried. That is not normal. They are deciding based on politics, sir, for two objectives. The settlers cause at one point in time, maybe they have one or two political differences with you, maybe you have some political engagements that do not tie with the interests of the caucus. The settlers cause with you. Sometimes they want to save face, and let me give you an example that my senior man was talking about. You know, when we were champions in corruption, twice, he didn't forget to mention, we were twice uncontested. Yeah. We lacked just one time to be pichichis. So we had 1998, 1999. Nobody in the world could try us. And when all this thing was going on, President Paul Biya, and then life was very difficult in Cameroon. Devaluation and all that, salaries were cut and all that, and people were crying foul. The National Democratic Front was leading, saying that this issue, President Paul Biya was saying that no, there is an economic crisis, a global economic crisis that is affecting the whole world. That's why we are suffering, things are not moving because of global economic crisis. The SDF, with its MPs in the 1997 legislature, said no. This thing is not just economic crisis or whatsoever. Others are facing economic crisis and they are still struggling and going ahead. We were facing economic crisis and sinking. What is so particular about our economic crisis? The truth is that a lot of you people who have been entrusted with the management of state funds, you people are acting like rats that have been put in a bag of granules. You steal from the Cameroonian people. President Paul Biya said, "Où sont les preuves?" Where are the proofs? and the SDF parliamentary group started this affair in 1997, what they call the Munchipu affair, when they were asking for a commission of parliamentary inquiry to investigate Munchipu, who was I think at that time was Post and Telecommunications, for embezzlement of billions.
Yeah.
And they had proofs. When President Pobia discovered that they had proofs, they had to catch Munchipu, and the world, they communicated to the world. They had to also save their face with international financial partners, the IMF, the World Bank, to say, no, at least, we are struggling to fight corruption and this, that. But later on, the President of the Republic and his close friends, some of whom are in Parliament, I keep insisting on it, because if the Parliament that we have, the Parliament is the one that is permitting the President to govern this country. If the Parliament gives orientation, the President will have to follow. But they were helping him to continue doing this witch hunt called the fight against embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds. They just settle scores. They settle scores, they do some things to save face, but the issue of embezzlement and misappropriation is not their business. If it were their business, President Paul Biya would have declared his assets by now, and I'm still calling on him now to make sure that he applies Article 66 before he leaves the public scene, and give us, the young people, the platform to bring insanity in the governance of Cameroon. Thank you very much, Achijidone. It is very obvious that we are getting close to the end of this first phase of the program. I just want to commence with you, Carol, and back up. You are a project manager, of course. Cameroonians, of course, they are right now asking questions. Is the justice system reliable enough to make sure that maybe whatsoever thing that has been taken from the Cameroonian people can actually be recovered without any problem? Now, tell us, Cameroonians want to know actually what needs to be done when a case like this do come up. Do you think that transparency is what Cameroonians needed right now, or Cameroonians just need information of release of people who have been labeled as embezzlers or charged as embezzlers and has been kept in the prison and later on come out to meet the same people who are suffering?
Okay, first of all, I want to say that Cameroonian needs their country back. Cameroonian needs to feel that they are part of this country. They don't need to feel that they are cattle that need to be used for sacrifices. Today, you're talking about rigor of justice. Today, Cameroon is afraid to lay complaint because he knows that if he lays, there will be no justice for him. Because he doesn't have money. I think Dr. Buck said that. He doesn't have money to go and bribe. Innocent people find themselves. Do you have any case of bribery and corruption? Yes, we have many cases. Many. It's like you've never gone to prison before. Did you? Just go to
visit.
Just go for visit. Or attend a court, just sit in the court and attend a court just for fancy. You will discover that Cameroonians are suffering a whole lot. When you go to prison, to Konenge, I happen to go there. There's a long line of prisoners emptying one meter square toilet. Come on, I washed it. Yeah. And the conditions are horrible.
So are you talking about the condition of imprisonment, or you're talking about the crimes?
I'm coming. Because you should not put one aside and treat one. The two goes together. The crime is there because you said they are high stated. The fact that they are high stated responsible in this nation should be. They should be taking them to Instada Konegi. That is dirty. Yes, because they swear in speech that they will serve this nation. They are betraying the nation. They are the one that was supposed to be treated the way they are treating these young guys. They are hungry. They are not stealing because they are wicked. They are stealing because they are hungry. Hungry because of those guys that can remove 500 billion from the cover of a nation. Come on, is almost 10 times. Right now is 7 times the budget of Cameroon. 2 people handling such an amount of money. Can you imagine? It is a crime. So Cameroon, they don't need that they should be arrested. They don't need that they should even sentence them. They need their country, but they need to be free using their money. Last time when I was invited in this platform, we spoke about money that was released to youth. Almost 50 billion here, 103 billion here. Where is it? Where is it? 60 years today, there is no youth except after this program, the youth will call to say, it's Cameroon that made me, if it's not the son of, or the friend of,
Carol,
or a system of. No, I'm coming
Carol,
to, I'm answering your question.
There are so many Cameroonians out there who are hustling, who are making ends meet based on their activities, and they are very genuine. You can't be telling Cameroonians that people are depending on who knows who.
Oh, So they told you that they are very open.
When you go to Mashemokolo in Yaoundé, there are people who are hustling and they are happy. They are
hustling because they want it, or they are hustling because they are forced to hustle.
Everybody cannot have a white-collar job.
Oh, wow. Who says that? Why are we traveling to Canada? Do you think that Canada is not a country like Cameroon?
But you are not in Canada, Carol.
No. Why are the youth traveling there?
But you are in Cameroon.
I'm in Cameroon.
Because the country is nice.
No. But because I believe that it can be safe. And we are one of the people that are fighting to save our nation.
Exactly.
Everybody should not run away. We are not going away. We are still here. But many youths are going. I happened to meet a petrochemist. The guy was loaded with everything that can help this nation to refine our petrol. You know what they asked the guy? Can you give us your bag and have a parent? Exactly. A guy of 23 years old. When he came back, tell me, when you find that kind of a youth, what do you think he can produce? Hatred. Why? Because some people decided that before you enter into what they call money, you must subject to one or two things. This is corruption. That's why I said they are criminals. He said they are terrorists. They are wish. Because all of this thing is bringing us to this level where Cameroonian cannot feed. Cameroonian cannot go to school. They are forced to hustle. There are professors, teachers that refuse to teach anymore because they are not respected. It's corruption.
Actually, Cameroonians today, some of the youth are into businesses. These are actually avenues for them to boost the Cameroonian economy. And Cameroonians, of course, are doing this. They are small, they are petty businesses that are popping up.
Thank you. When are you talking about business?
Yeah.
When you talk about business, you're talking about what? Selling groundnuts? Buying and selling? What boost to our economy is it producing? Nothing. We're just surviving. That's why I said in first my statement, we are surviving in Cameroon. We're not living. When we're talking about business, is the capacity of transform a particular either community or a village or a town. But we're not doing that kind of business. We are living from hand to mouth, selling oils and having chicken change as benefit, buying pantalon or trousers. That's what we are doing. Because when you're talking about business, we cannot even count 10 of them. Let me come to Congelcam. You are calling Congelcam a business. It's not a business. It's trade. Business meaning producing fishes for our own country and giving capacity to villagers to make money. Not buying fish there, come and sell in Cameroon. That's not business. That's why we are still at this level. It's a retailer. It's a trader. It's a buy and sell. We shouldn't insult Cameroon at that level. We need people that will produce, create things that will give us money and make our youth proud. If we could produce fish here, anybody can sell fish in his house. We'll make what Chinese people are making. If you have 1 square meter in your house, they invest, you produce fish, and they come and buy it. That's what I call about business. But this one I buy and sellers with big suits and big cars. That's all. And Cameroonian needs to be freed from this. They need people that will think about them first, not thinking about
so
one
what
person.
should Cameroonians do at this moment in order to live in a serene atmosphere so that they will not be victim of misappropriation and embezzlement?
What you're asking as a question is as if you're asking me to bring God on earth. Do they have the power to decide? Except they decide for me. If I can say something to Cameroonians, at a long time, we need to behave like Kenyan people. Before Kenya is where it is today, Kenyan discovered that they have the power. And I used to say it. Let's sometimes keep and stay in our houses. Let's allow these guys to be ministers of empty ministries, to be president of empty. I mean, because at the long run, it is no concern, he said, no concern about our state. Let's remain in our houses. You can go to your farm, you farm what you are eating with your children and watch them. Maybe at the long run, they will decide to come down to our level to ask. Look at the crisis post-electoral. At least they came down to force people to sell. Because they need us. But they need us when they need to justify the money the World Bank and the FMI should send. But they don't need us when we bring common and current business plans that you have to finance. No. They will tell you that go to GCAM. And GCAM will give you 100,000, 150,000 per month.
Carol, back up in a few seconds.
Yeah.
What do you think Cameroonians, the youths, the Cameroonian people, what do you think they should do to make sure that this issue of embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds should be a thing of the past?
I think they should strike. Let me explain. I don't say that you should go and break houses, Cameroonians. Striking does not mean destroy the little we have. Strike means we are tired of this. We'll remain on set until you come down to our level to sit with us and let's discuss about our destiny. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you very much, Carol Mbako, for such an elaboration. A project manager. I'll come to you, Dr. Moise Mbok. We are already at the end of the first phase of the program. A solution to this issue to avoid mismanagement and even embezzlement within the Cameroonian administration.
It starts by political will. If from up there they want things to change, those things will change. It starts from there. It's a political will. Now, if the head of state decide that, okay, I've spent 43 years in power, and I really want to leave that legacy, as he's saying, democracy and progress, he have to calm down and make sure that Cameroonians have a common vision to build, and that's where they will finance businessmen, as Carol is saying, because all over the world, when they want to invest in production, for instance, they will make sure they work with all the little ones, and they bring everything together. Not even companies. Look, for instance, farming. They can say, okay, we want Cameroon to be the one feeding the Central Africa, and we take everybody walking into plantain, for instance, and we take all of them in the same village, and they bring everything together, and the government buys it and sells around the place. So we finance something that corporates, and we finance it. We know you are creating jobs, riches, and then we will sell it. So it's a whole process from a vision. So political will, a vision. That's why our money will not stay there dormant for 10 years, 20 years, and someone will say, okay, maybe I can use this money while waiting something that we use it. So political will, a vision, and then justice. When it comes to justice, is allow these lawyers, these magistrates, and the whole system to at least to be human, to be free, to help Cameroonians. Let Cameroonians feel at peace when they're in front of a judge, not afraid that maybe because of money I may be right, but because of money I can find myself in jail. So those are the things, that transparency that will help Cameroonians to stay. Listen, I have a visa.
In a few seconds, please.
I have a visa, 2 years for Canada. At any time I can go, but I prefer to stay here because of, as Karen was saying, we believe in this country and we know things can change. Can they listen to us? Can they listen to what we are saying? Which kind of youth they want? Those that want to destroy and insult them, or those that are proposing things that can really improve the country?
Thank you very much, Dr. Moise Mbok. Your last words at Chijone concerning this issue, a solution to avoid embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds.
Well, it is the patient that goes to the doctor. All what we have said, the people who are suffering are the common masses, poor Cameroonian people, and it is up to them to look for solutions. They have the possibility to find the solutions. My co-panelist, Madame, was talking about the possibility of carrying out a strike, a peaceful manifestation.
Exactly.
I don't know what form it would take. It is a constitutional right anyway. It's good to precise it like that.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to tell Cameroonians is that whatever method you will use peaceful, the results will depend on whether you can be able to mobilize the critical mass. And we have an opportunity before us. Contrary to what, there are institutional mechanisms that we can use. Contrary to what people have been saying, that elections mean nothing. Elections actually mean something.
Yeah.
They are mad with fraud. But in the face of fraud, if you are determined, you will have improvements. And I'll give you a practical example. In 2018, elections were fraudulent. The person who was declared, who came second, had 14%. In 2025, there were still so many allegations of fraud, but the person who came second came with 35%. We have moved from 14 to 35%. If this reality was in within the dispensation of local elections, we would have had 35%, approximately 35% or more in councils. We would have had 35% of people who want change or more in the National Assembly. And I believe that with the energy that the common masses have, if they activate their solidarity, if they actually decide to go and vote, and the opportunity is going to be given to them, because we are going to move towards local elections where we'll be electing councillors and members of the National Assembly, that will make sure that they put in place the right laws, they apply the laws to make sure that the fight against embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds is holistic. When the people have this opportunity, let them elect the right people, and let them know that if they go to the polls determined than they were in 2025, they can achieve over 60% of political representation in Cameroon. I mean the population for change.
Thank you very much.
Take their responsibility.
Thank you very much, and let the Cameroonian take their responsibility. That is what is coming from Chijone, of course, and that draws us to the end of the first phase of this very program, and we'll be moving directly to the second phase, which will be talking about the reforms, or President Paul Biya's reforms. Is the position of a vice president a strategic necessity? That's what, of course, will be taken up after this very short transition. During one of President Paul Biya's traditional address to Cameroonians, we're talking about the end of year address to Cameroonians. The head of state had to make us to understand that, or make Cameroonians to understand that state reforms, of course, will be coming up in the course of the year. And so many Cameroonians are asking questions: what kind of state reforms? Some others, or others elsewhere, are saying that maybe the post of a vice president should be of great importance as President Paul Biya continued to embark on his state reforms in the country. And it is no news that this position was actually present in the country when Cameroon was a federated Republic of Cameroon, with John Gu Foncha as a vice president in the country, who happens to manage the post also of a prime minister. But today, after the revision of the Cameroonian constitution in 1972, that particular post was evicted from the Cameroonian population. And today we'll be asking our panelists, is this actually a position that needs to be installed or reinstalled back into our Cameroonian administration? I'll commence with you, Dr. Moise Mboko, happens to be a political strategist, a communication strategist, of course. The position of a vice president, is it actually welcome within the administration or within the executive power of Cameroon? Is it important? Is it a necessity?
What is important is not only the vision, but the way we are carrying and leading the country. When that is settled, vice president is very important. But if it's still the way we are leading the country, where we have the president or the presidency on one side and the other country in the other side.
Now you're speaking in riddles, you're speaking in parables. You're telling Cameroonians that there's a presidency on one side and Cameroonians on one side. What actually, what message are you telling Cameroonians?
Let's start with the reforms. If they are sincere reforms in this country, that's where the vice presidency will have a place. Because if we have a role, if we have something to do in a vision where we are taking our country from level 1 to level 5, you understand? So in industrialization and other sphere that we can use to improve the country, that's where the vice president can have his place, because he will have a role to improve the country, and we follow a vision, follow some project, and make sure that the country is improving. But if we still have the same system, the same governance, the same way of handling the country, even if you have 10 vice presidents, it will not change anything. Actually, today, for all the decisions that have to be taken, I have to send to the presidency, and the president will decide either is the one to do or not. But honestly, there are things that at this age you have to allow other people to handle.
So if actually there was a vice president, there are supposed to be things that the president won't be doing. That's what you're telling us.
Things will go faster. Things will go, I believe, in the normal way.
What normal way?
Justice. Not only justice, but with the kind of dynamism, because a vice president is supposed to be just, to be fair, and to be following a roadmap that everybody knows. And he knows that if he fails, they can replace him. Because when it comes to education, for instance, you have to reform everything to train our youth that they can be able to have jobs according to the needs of the country.
Dr. Moisbok,
yes.
Dr. Moisbok, today we have the president of the Senate who happens to be replaced the president in case of any vacancy or any unforeseen circumstances. Don't you think that position, of course, also happens to tie with the position of a vice president?
You know, normally Senate is for decentralization. Is for is decentralization, right? Yes. The Senate is for that, to make sure that the country is really balanced in its, let's say, the villages and the projects you can handle in different regions. That is Senate. But you see today, we see Senate as a position. If something is wrong in our minds, we are not seeing it as a way of creating riches, wealth, and improving the country. But we are seeing it, and number two, if the president is not there, is the one that will take charge. If something is wrong somewhere in our minds, and we must change it. So the reforms will bring out position, but will bring in work to do, vision to follow, things to run for. That even if you are down of the pyramid, you have a role to play, and you will play it well. Cameroonians are so aware of positioning. Number 1, number 2, number 10, but it's empty because it's not carrying any life. Let's have this position with life.
Thank you very much. I'll come to you, Chidudone. It is very obvious that your party has been agitating concerning this issue since from its inception, and before the demise of your former chairman. You guys have been advocating for such a position in Cameroon. Now tell us, how important is the position of a vice president to the nation, given the fact that we have also today a president of the Senate who happens to be the person that might replace the head of state in case of any vacancy or unforeseen circumstances in the country?
Well, let it be on the records that positions have not been the interest of the Social Democratic Front. The Social Democratic Front, under the leadership of the late chairman Nijon Fronde, and under the current leadership with Chairman Honorable Joshua, has a systemic approach to the Cameroonian problem. We think that Cameroon is not working because the system itself is not good. The dynamics that we have in Cameroon, the interaction that we have in Cameroon is not good. So our approach is systemic. Our approach is not that of position. That is why we have always opted for a federal dispensation. A federal dispensation within a semi-parliamentary regime. This is our option. It's not whether there is a vice president or there is no vice president. We want a system that is functional. And to the Social Democratic Front, that system is a federal dispensation. And it will lead me to quote one of very influential members of the CPDM, who is known more of this physical world, the late Senator Victor Mukete, may so rest in peace, when he stated on the floor of Senate that this republic that I participated in building, this form of state that I participated in building, has failed. And that the unity of Cameroon was not functional, and the only way to get the unity functional was to have a federal dispensation. And in that federal dispensation, what will happen? The senior man was telling you that a federal dispensation is that dispensation that permits people to take initiative, where people can work from top right up to bottom. People are active, people know what they have to do, and they are actually doing what they are supposed to do. A lot of Cameroonians are still questioning the raison d'etre of the Senate as we speak.
Yeah.
Many people are asking questions. Even people who are in that Senate, senators, deep in their minds, some of them who are very honest, they see that they look, sometimes they look at it and say, well, Master, this country, what is the role? But this is not to say the Senate is not useful. It is simply is that the Senate has been made not to be useful the way it was supposed to be. It's like an institution to compensate some people for whatsoever. That is not what Cameroon needs. Cameroon needs a system that works. And that system that works to the SDF is a federal system. So the President of the Republic, and I've always said it, the President of the Republic in 1984, he signed a decree that Cameroon now left from the United Republic, is now a republic. I'm waiting on him to sign another one, saying that Cameroon is now a federal state. And as we are going in for the next elections will provide a platform for Cameroonians to go and elect members of the National Assembly who will come in and feel the content of that new federal state. President Paul Biya can accompany us do it by announcing the federal state and then letting us, the younger generation, go and feel the content of that federal dispensation.
Does the Senate President, in case of any vacancy, does the Senate President, if he assumes a power as a Vice President or as a deputy, does he have the power or that strength to amend the Constitution?
Oh, that's a very beautiful question. The President of the Senate has no powers as interim. He is called upon to organize fresh elections in which he is not a candidate. That is all he has to do. He cannot even make a cabinet reshuffle. He comes in, meets what he has met, as he has met it like that. He cannot change a law. He will meet what he has met. He will work with what he met, organize new elections, and announce another president with the same system that is not working. That is the issue. So the problem is, we know who is second, like my senior man was saying, or who is third, or who is what. The problem is, who can do what in the interest of who? As you see now, they are. Let me not be saying that they are not useful. I mean, those that are there as president, maybe president of the National Assembly, who is receiving New Year wishes in absentia and making himself being represented, and the president of the Senate. I'm not saying that they are not useful. They are very useful in protecting the power of President Paul Biya. But now we want a system that is very useful in making sure that Cameroonians live well. That is where we want to go to. And President Paul Biya, I've said it time without number, is a beneficiary of a special grace. And this is what he should take note of. And sign off the decree that we are now going into a federal dispensation. I'm giving you young people the possibility of putting the content of that federal dispensation as you're going in for the next elections. Bring in representatives that will participate in defining that content to make sure that the unity of Cameroon is functional. And when we say unity is functional, it means that all of us feel that we belong to Cameroon because we are enjoying the resources of this country equitably.
Thank you very much, Chijodo. Now, come to you, Carol and Bako. We've seen that in other countries, for example, like Gabon and other countries, once the head of state is no more, we come to discover that maybe one of his offspring do ascend power at the end of the day. And these are countries who do not have a vice president. And of course, we actually know all the law in case there is a vice president. The vice president actually can amend the constitution. Now, do you think that with the case of Cameroon, with the absence of this particular position, has been an issue of conserving power or relating Cameroonian situation to situations that we are experiencing elsewhere?
I will be a little bit out of topic because this particular topic for me is, first of all, it's like we are building on the sun. Cameroonians need to go back to the root first of all. What is governance is? Because when you talk about vice presidency, it's for countries that are already constituted. They already know exactly what they are going in for. They are going in for building a nation.
So are you telling us that the authorities that you have in Cameroon, they don't understand actually where we are going?
No, they don't understand. They don't understand where they are going to. He said something.
That's why themselves are calling for
He said
reforms.
something, and I used to say it. If you ask the president of Senate, what is Senate, he cannot tell you. He cannot. What is Parliament? Those words are borrowed words. In those days, how are we living? The chief is there and the notables. Why notables? Because they must make sure the thief does not take the community elsewhere than where they themselves are responsible of. I don't need to understand what I'm saying. This thing, we are talking as if you are talking about go and buying plantains to make pepper soup. We are talking about building a nation. And building a nation means being responsible of all the people living in and out
but
of
Cameroon. But we can build a nation without the position of a vice president.
I'm not even there. You are talking about vice president. I'm talking about the foundation of the nation. We have a president. We are not still living. What will the vice president do?
Carol, the question is very simple. And
I have the question.
Cameroonians want to know. They have been facing issues elsewhere, or maybe other countries in Africa. They have been having situations where, at the end of the day, once the president is no more in power, somebody, maybe offspring or a close collaborator, comes in through appointment and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, do you think something like that might happen in Cameroon?
Henry, it's like you want me to answer
Phillips
Enshi. Okay. It's like you want me to answer something that suits you. I'm answering to the Cameroonians to know exactly where they are first before they claim if Bolivia dies, if an offspring, we have a problem. If the head of state dies, because it will happen, we are all human, and we have not got to the level of building a strong nation, the same thing will happen.
Yeah.
An offspring will sit, or any son of the system they have brought up will sit, because
the post of a vice president is very important.
No, it's not important for me. If this meet up the same system, then it's no use.
Yeah.
It's just adding problem on top problems. Because the vice president is going to be elected or it's going to be chosen. Elsewhere he is chosen. The president elected choose who should be the vice president.
Yeah.
The same thing, like Podia today decided that no, I will choose he can choose his son. He has a right. You deny it? That's what we are talking about.
Did it.
He can choose his uncle, his nephew, because he has the right. So if it's that vice presidency represent, we don't need it. We don't need somebody that will come and remove us our right to decide who should lead us. That's what I'm talking about. So vice presidency is not good for us because for now, we are not yet structured. We are not yet educated to go on that light.
But we had it in the past.
We had what in the past?
We had the vice president in the past, John Gufoncha, when Cameroon was a federated republic.
Who put John Gufoncha as the vice president?
He was also part of the Southern Cameroons and a leader of that particular part of the country.
It's true that you are the one asking question, but who put John Gufoncha vice president?
I'm asking you the question. It is very obvious. He was vice president, of course, in the Southern Cameroons,
yes.
And of course, he was also maintaining the position as a prime minister in the country, and everything was going so very well.
In those days.
In those days, and I'm telling you
that particular situation can't be brought back into existence.
That's what I wanted to answer before you turn me. The problem is that those guys out there, what they call ocean people, they think or they thought a governance is that we cannot master, and we always go back to them to maintain it. That's the point.
We have federated nations in Cameroon, in Africa. In Africa, of course, we have a federated nation in Africa. Nigeria is a federated nation.
Nigeria is a federated nation. Who is the backbone of the federated nation of Nigeria? Who is the backbone?
People want to know from you.
That's what I'm telling you. Nigeria is still suffering from what Cameroon is suffering. All Africa is still under what I will call, I will not call it colonialism. I will call it neo-colonialism. That is, we have decided to be what those guys were to us in those days. And things was functioning because we were humbly following what they gave us. I will talk about somebody that people do not like. It's the late president of this nation, President Ayijo. President Ayijo was a young guy, very dedicated to, devoted to the white leaders.
You have a few seconds, please.
He was doing what they expected him to do. And they saw it that this is a good guy. He will do exactly what we want. They put him president. But when President Ayijo sat on power, he decided that, okay, I have the power, I can do something for my people. The same people decided that it should stop. But we, at least in the few years President Ahijo was president, we saw things that if we could follow that same light, we could be far right now. We had no vice presidency by then. What I'm saying is that
we
had, but the vice presidency was not that. We're not talking about him. It was not common. Let me say so. It was not common. Why? Because there were French Cameroon and English Cameroon. We had
the Federal Republic of Cameroon.
Yes, we had the Federal Republic of Cameroon, but where was the foundation? The Federal Republic he's talking about was not the first we had in those days. Let's be frank about it. What he's saying is what I proposed in my campaign.
Thank you.
Giving power to the 10 region could be used as 10 states. Yeah. Giving power to those guys to function in their different region according to their different needs and different riches and problems. Not giving one power to one person to tell people what to do. That's what we're talking about.
Thank you very much. Chido, I have something to say.
No, very, very briefly, I think my co-panelist has come back into the debate because she was kind of painting a picture like we are not ready. You know, leadership has to have a mastery of the stakes. What actually we want, you were talking about neocolonialism and other challenges. Those are challenges that leaders that are leading are called upon to lead African countries now. Should master and reflect on how we can be able to face those challenges. We have a blueprint that was put in place by the old leaders we have, the presidents we have now. They gave us Agenda 2063. It's a very beautiful agenda. There are so many good things inside, which we have to read appropriate of it and see how we can implement those things and make them workable. The federal state is not a problem. And I have this issue with people thinking that federation was brought to us, or it seems like anything that was introduced to us from somewhere is a bad thing. No,
we mustn't have a federal state to have a vice president.
It is our option. It is our option. I'm talking now as a communicator from the SDF.
That's what I'm saying.
A federal dispensation is not being created by Cameroon. It is a constitutional dispensation that has a way of functioning. And we have studied it and understood that in this way of functioning, like you were saying that the 10 regions, they can develop themselves, have their own initiatives and all that. The federal dispensation gives them that power. They will elect their representatives, they will do what they want, they develop their country. The federal government, that is the overall government of the country, will only come in to do what the federated states cannot do for themselves. It will not be somebody like President Biya telling that this. I was very shocked when President Biya was announcing that he has instructed the renovation of urban roads, that he has instructed construction of urban roads. I was like, what is happening? Which means that the Ministry of Urban Development and this is not working, which means that the city mayors are not working, the mayors are not working, the regional councils are not working, and the President of the Republic is still the one that is instructing that there should be some renovation works within our major cities. It's unfortunate. Within the federal dispensation, that cannot exist. And that is what the Social Democratic Front is saying. This federal dispensation is very important because it makes our unity very strong, and this unity is strong because we are one people, but it also makes our unity functional because it permits us to enjoy our country, to explore the fullest of our potentials in our different federated states.
Thank you very much.
Whatever you want to call them at the time.
Thank you very much. And let me get some of the reactions of Cameroon, and of course you can get us towards through the numbers on your screen. But of course we are already at the end of the program. Let me get some of the reactions. There are so many of them coming right now. Good evening, dear panelists. Thanks very much for such an wonderful topics that you guys are treating this very day. I just want to say that the post of a vice president in Cameroon, as we speak, is very important in order to avoid any issue of conservation of power. This is a barrister writing us from the Littoral region, with no name and no, just a barrister. We continue with, of course, some of them are coming in. Many of them are good evening, dear panelists. I love your program, Mr. Phillips Enchi. I just want to believe that you continue on this same light and provide relevant information to Cameroonians. Thank you very much for your appreciation. Of course, we are here to serve the Cameroonian public. We continue again with this one coming from Ngaundere. Good evening, dear panelists. I do appreciate the outings of Chi Didone. He is one of my favorites. I just want to add on this issue of the position of a vice president that Cameroonians, of course, need a vice president at this moment so that President Paul Biya can have a rest to go along or go about with his activities, and the vice president, of course, can take charge, and all this issue of the very high instruction of the head of state will come to an end. That is somebody that is writing us from the Adamawa region. And of course, we continue again with this another one. Good evening, Mr. Enchi. I love your program. What a wonderful program. How can I get this issue I'm writing on? It is very fluid. Please, if you want to write your English, make it very fluent so that we can easily read it and communicate so very well. This another person writing us from Ngaundere still. Good evening, dear panelists. Thanks for such an elaborating program. What I want to tell Carol and backup is that Cameroonians at this moment not only need a vice president, but need a Cameroon that is transparent. So we need a Cameroon that each and everyone can participate and contribute to our nation building. That is what they are not signing. People are not signing. They are just writing. I don't know why are you afraid of your name being pronounced? Nothing is, of course, hidden. We continue with this. Good evening, dear panelists. I love some of the outings of Dr. Maurice Mbok. With your expression, I like them, and I want you to continue being a panelist of this program. Thank you, Mr. Enchi, for such a program. At least Anglophones do have something to watch every Tuesday on M4 television. Thank you very much. Of course, the messages are so many, but it is very obvious that we've come to the end of this program. I just want to get your last words. Cameroonians are watching all over the world. So many messages are coming in, appreciating what is being done on M4 television, and most especially some of the topics that are being treated on this very platform. We are coming to the end of this program. Your last words, Cameroonians, this position of a vice president, do you think that in the corridors something is cooking?
Well, very briefly, I may not answer this question, but there is a question you asked to Madam which is unanswered, and it's the agenda. Can the president be succeeded by his own son? I will say it is a possibility, and I'm telling Cameroonians that we are getting close to the end of the kingdom phase of Cameroon. We are getting close to the end of the kingdom phase of Cameroon. We have seen others who served President Paul Biya with all loyalty. When they were no more of this world, their children came back to replace them. So, but I'm telling you this information, the end of the kingdom phase of Cameroon, there is going to be a lot that will be happening. As a servant, it's just the agenda I'm giving you, but I'm telling you that you don't have to be scared.
Thank you.
What we have to do is to prepare for upcoming elections, upcoming local elections, make sure that we put in the right people that will reset the foundation of this country.
Thank you very much, Carol. And back up your last words. We are coming to the end, we're already end of the program.
Okay. I will still come back on what I said, and I answered the question. I said the vice president is chosen by the coming president, meaning Paul Biya can decide to choose his son as a vice president. It will not help us. Our vice presidency is good if we are well structured. So if we are ready to stand for our nation, then we are ready to have many open opportunities to make our country to be a country. Another thing I want to say, USA was governed by empires in those days. When they started, George Washington decided to make USA what it is today. He did not take from what they gave him. He produced a vision for what he wanted. And that's what I'm talking about. We may have all the proposition, presidency, governors, parliament, senate, but we may not use it. We may go in and study the core of our nation, the root cause, and bring a state that will suit to what we want and make a difference in the world.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maurice Mbok. Your last words.
Yeah, I think we have to get back into a referendum. First thing, to allow Cameroonians to give their will. What do we want as a country, and what do we want as governance? If we can have this referendum, we allow everybody to bring a word, and from there we take a decision and we continue. Cameroon have everything to succeed. We should just listen to ourselves, talk together, and then work together to build this wonderful country.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maurice Mbok, for such an elaboration. Thank you, Chidi Done, for your presence. Thank you, Carol Backup, our project manager, for your presence. Of course, we've come to the end of this program, and I just want to remind you guys that you can watch all this program on Saturday. There will be a rebroadcast at 4 p.m. on Saturday, Cameroonian time. So thank you very much for being there with us. keep continue because our programs on F4 TV unfold. So we have, of course, very interesting programs that will be coming your way in no distant time. Stay blessed and take the rendezvous again when it is Tuesday next week at 9 p.m. still on this very set on F4 TV. From us, we say good evening and God bless Cameroon.